Hey guys, the Duel is here. A month ago I built myself my first PC and I basically made a full switch to go racing from console to PC, and I gotta say, this is an absolute game changer. Each race that I've done is already better than any races I've ever done on console, and this says quite a lot about the console racing quality. Anyway, this is Assetto Corsa Monday Multiclass series hosted by oNiD community. This series consists of two cars, Lotus Evora GXs and Toyota GT86s. I'm driving the Lotus, and this is round 7 and 8 I think, around Watkins Glen boot. This event basically features two races, sprint and feature races, and basically the quali is 20-minute quali, but it's split into 10 minutes for Lotuses and 10 minutes for Toyotas, so basically we have 10 minutes to qualify. And the beginning of my first push lap, I came with very little practice coming into this event, so this is also almost like a learning session for me. Going to T1, good exit, now going up the hill towards the back straight. It's really important to get a good exit because I mean this straight goes for a very long time, and going towards the chicane, just hitting everything pretty neat and tidy. It's really important not to crash, I mean obviously, and just set some sort of lap time. And now going to this right-hander, my rear tires really overheat, they get up to temperature real fast, and the car just snaps a little bit on the exit and I bend into the wall. So that's my attempt 1 and we have to go again. And on my second attempt I actually managed to crash again because of the overheating tires on my outlap, which was absolutely horrendous. This is absolute horrible for me. So we have to try again. Luckily I didn't pick up too much damage, so I decided just to push with a little bit overheated tires and just hope for the best. Going towards T1, I brake at around the 200 board. I get the really nice apex, but I just went a little bit wide, invalidated, and managed to crash again. So we have to go again, and basically this will be a one-shot quali. And the beginning of my lap, getting a decent exit, and now going up the hill, just trying to minimize the angles so I can carry as much speed as I can. And this is not ideal. I'm in a station where basically this has become a one-shot quali because my time limit is 10 minutes, so technically I can do 2 push laps, but the tires will overheat. So basically this is my last attempt to try to make some sort of lap time. And going through this right-hander where basically my tires overheat massively. This time I think it overheated a bit less, so this already looks a bit better. Now going into this left-hander where I last crashed, going a little bit wide, but decent power on the exit, everything's stable, and so far so good. I mean, this definitely doesn't look like a really fast lap time, but I just need to set some sort of lap time just not to be behind the Toyotas, and that's all I pretty much have to do. Now here braking, getting nice rotation, just didn't maximizing the track. I don't know why I didn't do that. I guess I wasn't pushing too much. I was just trying to get a lap in, just to set a time that is somewhat representable, and just hope for the best. Now going towards the end of the lap, pretty good. I mean, here going on this right-hander, getting early on the power, trying to get as close as I can to the wall and up to the finish line. It's a 1:49.1, which I mean is quite a decent time. It put me P6, which is decent because there's I think 10 Lotuses starting, so we're basically 6th, which is reasonable. But I decided to push for a second push lap because the tires didn't overheat too much at the end of the lap, so it's basically reasonable to try again. Now going onto the back straight towards the chicane, I'm pretty much the same on Delta now. I mean, going through this chicane, I decided to push a little bit more because I have a time now, so I can push more. And yeah, I'm almost 2 tenths up. Everything looks fine, but here just the tires, I pushed a bit too much, the tires overheat and I spin. This is the problem with the soft tires on this track. The tires overheat really fast and it's really hard. Now going on to the race, I'm starting P7 and getting a really good start actually. Already got 1 position and about to get another one, so P5 I think, or P4. But now going to T1, just a little bit on the inside line, just didn't have enough space to get a really good exit, which definitely compromised me going on to the back straight, where I'm a bit under pressure from behind. Now I go cover down the inside for the chicane. Zach behind me gets a really good slipstream into the braking point. He braked just a little bit later and he actually made a really nice move. I mean, hats off to him, that's a really nice and brave move, you know, on lap 1. And let's keep going, but here he gets a really poor exit of the right-hander. I tried to make a fake move, but I actually braked a little bit too late and I crashed. I mean, that's totally on me, that's absolute awful awareness from me, and I will definitely get slapped with a massive penalty for that, because that was absolutely awful for me. Now a lap later, or a few, we're coming to some slower traffic, not slower traffic, just some slower drivers in our group. Zach already cleared one of the cars, but I get some oversteer, but which is not ideal, but everything's looking fine, and yeah. Now here on the right-hander, the Lotus in front goes a little bit wide. Now through these last few corners, I'm gaining a lot of time to the guy in front of me, going onto the back straight, getting a fairly decent exit, but I'm like 4/10 behind. So I'm a bit too far to send it, but maybe if I can get a good exit, I can get a really good run down up the hill. But here it goes a little bit narrow, which compromises his exit, and it's actually quite an easy overtake going up the hill. Now a lap later, we're coming onto the first lap traffic, and in front actually a crash happened. Yeah, one of the guys I think got involved basically from the Toyota through the chicane, which made him spin, and that was a field position for me. And actually I'm about to overtake another car, but that's actually a lapped Lotus from somewhere. I don't know where it came from, but I was quite confused because I thought, why is this Lotus so slow? And then I looked at it was a lapped car apparently, so that was only one position, even though I overtook 2 Lotuses. But yeah, getting onto more traffic, and this is just really hard thing about this track and lap traffic, because I could probably send down the inside line, but it's really risky, and I do not want to get slapped with penalties, because I already murdered a guy last week, which was absolutely awful. And I mean, this lost me time, but yeah, this is the replay of what happened last week. Pretty much slapping traffic, and I just completely didn't brake in time, crashed into a guy. My fault, got slapped with a 30-second penalty, I think, actually. Now, if you look, the guy that's behind me is Zach, and that was the same guy that, like, just a lap ago was sitting on the curb at the end of the back straight. So I definitely lost quite a lot of time just getting through the traffic, which was really unlucky for me, but it is what it is. It's really quite a luck thing. And here I see some traffic up ahead. I lift because I know that pretty much I will run into them if I go full throttle, and here we are. Good timing, everything's fine. And now going towards the boot, this is quite hard because we're coming again on some lap traffic, but we cleared them just before this corner, which was really good, because if you're stuck during the corner, you lose seconds. And this was actually all of the traffic, and this looked good. A lap later, there's 3 of us fighting for P5, I think, or P4. We're fighting for P6, and it's a fairly close battle, you know. I'm gaining quite a lot of time to the guy in front. And at the back, as you can see, Zach, that was also behind pretty close to us, he actually went onto the curb and crashed, which was unfortunate because it would have been a really good battle between us 3. Now going on to the back straight, I'm in a decent range from the Lotus in front. Actually, I'm 0.5, which is, I think, the limit to get into the slipstream range. And look how much the slipstream is working. I'm gaining time, and this is a really good move. Now going to the chicane, I give him space in case he tries to stick, but he backed off, and now it's really important to get a really good exit through this right-hander, because if not, I mean, I can be underthrown, but I got a really good exit actually. And going into this left-hander, just everything's pretty good, getting a really good exit, and yeah, so far in P6, which is really good. Now through these next few corners, just driving clean. Here he kinda tried to go for a move because I went a little bit deep, but yeah, managed to keep him behind me, and this was pretty good. And we're closing up onto the timer to go 0, but the leaders are on the next lap, so we have to do another lap. So it's really important to get a good exit out of T1 in order to not get overtaken at the end of the chicane. And here he actually went just a little bit too much onto the curb in T1. He went off the track, which lost his momentum, and this was a really good thing for me because I was also losing fuel. And I only had 2 liters left for the rest of the lap, and the car consumes around 2.5 liters per lap approximately. So I might have miscalculated, but hopefully it will be fine. So throughout this lap I was lifting and coasting in some places, but at the end of the lap, as you can see, 1 liter of fuel, which is not really good. And exiting the last corner, just everything nice and tidy, and actually we went to 0, which basically meant that I was really low on fuel, but thankfully that was enough as we crossed the finish in P6, which is quite decent, quite a good recovery. Now on the second race quali, I forgot to press record at the start of the quali, which basically meant that I didn't record my best lap time, which was a 48.9, just a few tenths better than my other lap. And just to show how bad was the rest of my qualifying, this was my last attempt, which ended up being just a really nice and stylish pit entry. Anyways, at the beginning of the start, I'm starting P5 this time, which is better than last time. On start, getting a really good start, you know, just pretty much just keeping up with the front pack. And again, going into T1, I'm a bit cautious. I don't want to get involved into crashes. Here I get a really good exit, and I'm basically right now quite alone already because I was a bit cautious, and behind they're fighting, in front they're also fighting, so hoping for some crashes in front so I can just, you know, get some free places. Now going through the chicane, pretty much nobody's fighting, everyone just going side by side, but here I just go a little bit wide, just high fuel, it makes the car a bit more heavier, and I lost quite some time. And now I'm under threat from behind. Actually behind me, the guy Miles, he makes a massive, well not really a massive, but pretty much just let him by because he had an awful quali. He set a really low time when he actually was pretty much at the leader pack, that's the last race. Here I get bumped, which was a bit unfortunate, but the guy felt sorry and I think he let me by because, I mean, he slowed down, which is nice of him. But then he also got bullied by the cars behind, which is a bit unfortunate because he lost like 2 places. Now on the next lap, yeah, Miles, I mean, he was absolutely flying. I mean, he overtook Zach pretty much a lap after clearing me, and yeah, he was showing absolutely fast pace. He was super rapid. Hats off to him, again, just really good pace. So pretty much I was just trying to maintain my pace, not overcook the tires, because it's a 45-minute race with a mandatory pit stop in the middle of it. Basically from minute 30 to minute 15 you have to pit and you must change tires. So pretty much you have to maintain a good pace, not overcook the tires. And yeah, now a couple minutes later we're coming onto the first pack of traffic, which I mean is a bit unfortunate because I caught up them again at the very wrong place. It's the boot, which is just some tight corners, some really low speed corners, which is really bad for overtaking because you lose quite a lot of time, because the Lotus can carry so much more speed than the Toyotas, but there's not really all the time space enough to make the moves. And here I make this half cent. Thankfully they gave me space. This could have ended badly, but thankfully it was fine. And again, just through the last corners, just getting past some traffic, which was not ideal. And as you can remember, at the basically during the middle section, I was behind Zach by like a second, and now he's basically, he gained like a second or even like 2 behind me. Yeah, the gap is 2.7. So basically I lost 1.5 seconds just dealing with traffic, which is not ideal. And yeah, pretty much for the rest of this stint I was just maintaining my lap times, pretty much driving very similar pace with Zach, so it might be a good battle later on. And a lap later we're coming up onto the pit window to open, and I'm seeing that I overfueled quite a lot for my first turn, because I was thinking like doing like a 50-50 fuel split, but as I can see, the laps of fuel that I started with. After 15 minutes I only lost half of it, when in my math calculations I was supposed to be on like only a few liters of fuel left, which meant I wasn't consuming as much fuel as I thought. And now the pit window opened, which meant that people, basically it's now all up for the strategy to overtake, to overcut, undercut, pretty much anything you can do. At the end of this lap, Zach peels off to the pit to change his tires and possibly refuel, so I gained a couple positions. Yeah, I gained a position. I'm now in P5. I'm planning to do a massive overcut because I overfueled, so I really have to push as much as I can and pit at the very end of the window. Now here, dealing past some traffic, just going a little bit narrow to the chicane, which compromises my exit line because I go a little bit wide. This is not ideal, definitely lost me some time. And again, just dealing past some traffic. Oof, this was really close. I mean, yeah. I wasn't there fully alongside, so the guy, this yellow Toyota, had fully right to be where he was, and thankfully I managed to slow down just in time. And this is the harsh reality of multiclass racing, because it's really hard to overtake, and yeah, basically good timing is all about that, because if you lose time, I mean, you can lose loads of time if you catch up in the traffic at the wrong time. And again, through this last corner, just getting traffic exactly on the apex, which is really bad, and thankfully this was the last of this lapped car's traffic. But again, this lost me some time as we overtake a couple guys down the pits, and I'm now in P3. Of course, this is only P3 technically, because I mean, I'm not really P3, because after my pits I will be still at the same place that where I was. And yeah, here I'm actually, before my pit I was even in P2, and yeah, I saw that I was coming up to some traffic, so I decided to peel into the pits to not lose too much time dealing with traffic and get my pit stop done. Now coming out of the pits, you can see in front Zach goes, which meant that my overcut didn't work, but I wasn't really thinking about it working. It was just pretty much just burning as much fuel as I can. But going onto the back straight, I can see that I am gaining time to Zach, which means he had some sort of contact with another person, something like that, and I'm gaining time on him on the straights, and actually quite a lot of time. Now here, just getting a little bit stupid, just not getting the best entry, getting some oversteer. Thankfully the car was stable enough so I was able to catch the slide. And yeah, again, catching some traffic, Zach makes a really nice move into T1. The Toyota moved out of the way for me, and the gap right now is 1.2 seconds, and throughout this whole straight you can see how much time I'm gonna be gaining on him. And now at the end of the straight, the gap goes to 0.7, which I mean is massive. It's absolute massive, which basically means I'm like half a second faster just on the back straight alone. Now here, we're both catching up to some traffic, which definitely allowed me to gain a couple tenths to him. But nonetheless, this is a really bad place to catch traffic again, because the Lotuses can carry so much speed. Oh my god, there was some lag happening there. Yeah, one of the players, he had some like ping issues, which was definitely quite scary. I mean, I don't think we would have like crashed, but that was still like a super scary move. And here Zach makes a really nice move. Good calculation. I didn't go for the move, which lost me a couple tenths, but again, I have a massive advantage on top speed, which will definitely help me close up the gap on him on the back straight. Now at the end of the back straight, we're coming up to some traffic, and I mean, he makes a super massive move. Almost hits the side barrier, but yeah, that was super brave from him. I decided not to brave. I mean, there was really no place for me to go. They were going basically almost side by side, these Toyotas, and they lost a couple seconds to him. But a few laps later, yeah, pretty much because of the straights, I gained so much time to him, and hopefully, as you can see, there's not much traffic up ahead coming up, which can set me a nice move to try and overtake on him. But here he makes me go on the outside line, which is not the line I want to be. I got a really poor exit, and yeah, he survived this attack from me. But he's vulnerable, definitely, because again, I'm just having so much more top speed than him, so I just really have to nail a good exit and the move will be on. And now going on to the main straight, I'm planning a move on him on the next lap on the back straight, so my task is basically just to get a really nice exit out of T1, which I managed to do, which is really nice thing. Now I'm fully into the slipstream range, and yeah, I'm in. Look how much time I'm getting to him. Quite an easy overtake. He tried to go inside, I mean there's nothing he can do actually. He's pretty much just a passenger now in this situation. Even when overtaken, yeah, I'm just gaining so much time, but I am slow. Like, I wasn't fully confident in this car, especially through the chicane, so he was always faster in some sections of the track, but because I had a massive speed advantage, it basically meant that I was slowly pulling away from him. And right now the gap is, after a couple laps, the gap was a few seconds, which is just shows how faster my Lotus was. And now coming up to some traffic, thankfully I managed to clear this car just before the corner, but later on, yeah, just catching some traffic exactly at apexes, which really slows me down. And yeah, Zach was a bit lucky with it. I mean, I don't think he had like many incidents where he had to overtake cars like I was, so he was gaining basically every time I was losing time to traffic. Again, just this time at least the traffic wasn't too bad. I cleared everyone pretty cleanly. Here at the end of the lap, another lap car, but again, just this was, at least this time I was lapping cars, it was fairly decent, didn't get stuck too much behind traffic, which was nice. Definitely didn't lose too much time as I did in my previous lapping attempts. But here, going through this right-hander, I'm coming up on the Toyota class leaders, and going into this left-hander, I went for the move, and we made a little contact, but if you look at the replay, I think it was netcode. I mean, if I basically slowing frame by frame, it does not look like the cars were touching with each other. I don't think so, so I wanna say this is netcode, but I guess we'll see what the stewards will think, if they will even investigate that. So yeah, this definitely was a bit scary. I thought that I was about to crash out again with a Toyota for a second straight week. Now here, getting some traffic again onto the chicane, making somewhat of a brave move. Cleared one of the Toyotas. Now the second one, I decided to go around the outside, because I mean, for Toyotas, their task is to be predictable, and my task is to overtake safely, so they pretty much just need to go on the racing line, and I just have to go by them. As we're going on to the last lap, we're clearing more traffic, and this looks like a good thing, but now in this super slow corner I'm catching two cars, which is really bad, because like there's just no place where to go. I managed to overtake around the outside, but Zach is gaining so much more time on me. I lost definitely like a second back there, which is not ideal because it's the last lap and I really want to keep a good gap and not lose out on the last corner. Now going through these last corners, we're coming onto a lap Toyota. I flash at him because I mean it's the last lap, like I need to overtake him, man, because I'm gonna lose my position if I don't do that. And thankfully I was able to overtake him just in time, but yeah, the gap at 10 was really close to Zach, even though he had a much slower car than me. I make a massive boom, but basically, yeah, I was super unlucky with traffic during this whole race, and thankfully I was able to get a decent P5 from this race, which is good. I mean, a P5 and I think a P6 from the first race, so that's a really good events for me this week. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and as always, see you in the next video.